signal processing, but the reason you want to sorry, it looks like the video just cut. The reason you want to take the square is because these values range from well, a negative 16-bit integer value to a the maximum, and if you add them up, well, you will, for example, if it's a sine wave and all the period fits perfectly within, you will get a sum around 0 because the negatives and positives will cancel out. But if you square them, you get an estimate of the power. So some people take the square root of that value, but it turns out if you don't need to find something like an average or something, you can just take the sum of the squares and just use that as being a correlation for power. So what I mean is, when I blow into this thing, the value total in my debugging console should go up. So if I leave it alone, I'll leave it alone for a little while. It stays around there. I don't know how, that's still a pretty big number. But you'll notice when I start talking, that's when the value jumps. And if I go really close to it, like right now, I'll breathe into it. It jumps about 4 orders of magnitude. And now my Skype camera's freaking out again, and I have no idea why it's doing that. I have no idea, but that's okay. I think we're done with the Skype part for now. I am not a big Skype fan because of stuff like this. Okay. So, I'm going to stop the debugging session. Ooh, and VANC is not the best. I think we're just going to use Synergy. Synergy is great. I love Synergy. It feels really crisp, and it feels pretty much like a hardware connection. I wouldn't play StarCraft 2 on it, but I'm just saying it's pretty good compared to Skype or VNC even. Okay, so what I have to do now is and if anyone's actually watching this, I feel kind of bad because this is the first and I apologize for the feedback, but it wouldn't be an audio session without an audio nerd session without a little feedback. Okay, so I'm putting the video back just because, I don't know, it makes it a little more personable, I hope. So I have this basic iPhone setup, and what I want to do is start capturing segments of voice. So when somebody has the iPhone like this, and I think I want to make a voice processor. That's the basic idea that I want to implement today. When someone speaks into the iPhone, maybe they press a button and it says to record now, and they'll say something, and I want my app to pick up when the person's saying something. So, wow, I don't know why my camera keeps switching. I should deal with that. But anyway, when they say something, the iPhone will pick it up and maybe create a bunch of stuff on the screen corresponding to the type of text or the length of the speech, and then process it somehow. So that's the basic idea. So what am I going to do? All I have is this input callback right now, audio unit render, and it doesn't do so much, right? We're just summing up this. So what I need to do is I'm going to create an input manager. So this is a C++ class, and I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with this, but I've been reading more about how Objective-C messages are dispatched, and I'm a little scared of them, frankly, for because they look like they could be a little bit of a performance hit. So for now I'm just going to use a C class, and this will probably be a singleton. We'll see, but let's go about that. So singleton will have, yeah, so this is pretty basic setup. Basically this class is going to be responsible. Let's write in the comments, because this is a good time to. So singleton class that is responsible for both processing input audio and, this is important, retaining the samples until they are no longer needed. Because I should write buffers. Yeah? Buffers of samples until they're no longer needed. So to go back to this guy, this is just a callback, right? On the right side you can see the declaration. The data comes in and it goes out, but it doesn't get saved. So this audio input manager will be responsible for saving that. Input manager is maybe not the best name, but this is an audio app, so I'm okay with it. So what do I want to do? Okay, I'm making the, I don't know how you do your singletons, but this is how I'm going to do mine. I'm going to declare a static instance within, not even a static, yeah, a static instance, why not? Like that. Do I want a pointer? I think I want a pointer. Yeah. So the other thing I will need is a init call. I think I also want that private. Try to keep whatever I can private with singleton. The only thing public that needs to be is an instance method, like that, that returns an input manager pointer. Could even be a reference, but I don't really like using references. Just a personal thing, I guess. So okay, I've got these two, and I will also need a call to somehow stick these audio buffers in. You know, from the callback here. Maybe right here we'll have something like, and this is just debugging cruft. Let me clean that up. Add the buffer to the input manager for safekeeping. So it'll be something like this, and add buffer. And I think I'm just going to use the Apple format for now, which is called buffer list. Sorry, audio buffer. I hope it doesn't trip me up later, but I think it'll do okay. So the audio buffer is, I believe, I will need to take the pointer to that. Let me see how that's, sorry. Right. What I want is buffer list .mbuffers. And I'm hard coding the 0 in there. And the reason I'm doing that, I don't need that actually, I can just do mbuffers. I think I can just do mbuffers. The reason there's a 0 being hard coded into here is because just I know that the format I'm using only has one buffer, a stereo buffer within it. Yeah. And it's actually interesting This is an old before C99 convention. So the definition of buffer list, audio buffer list, has a. I should just go to it. Yeah. One thing I do like about Xcode and MSVC is the jump to definition. I think it's great. So you can see the definition here. Audio buffer list is like this. This does not mean there's only one element in there, because this is a client-side thing that gets allocated. So for example, if you do a malloc to allocate these, and you could add extra memory to the size, and you do it a multiple of the size of an audio buffer, and then you can use basic array notation to access the second or third element. Yeah. So anyway, I'm getting a little off track. I can do that, and that's one of the good things about having a video here. It will keep me a little bit more focused, I hope. Okay, so anyway, so what do I want to keep track of? I want to keep track of an audio buffer. I'm not sure if the date will be necessary yet, and I don't think so. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep a list, just a straight up vector for now. A linked list would also be possible, you know, but to be honest, I don't think it's needed. And it's nice to have random access. So should that be private? Yeah. So we want a vector of audio buffer. This is a tough one. No. We're just going to call it input buffer. That's what we'll call this struct. Some people prefer, yeah, I guess this is a C struct. We'll do it C style. I'm not even sure what's correct here, but I don't mind mixing a little C++ and C convention when it makes sense. Input buffer, we'll call that input buffers. How's that? Okay. All I'm keeping for now is a ref count. So the call that I'm going to be using in the callback, what was that called? It was called add buffer. Okay. Add buffer. So this is going to take an audio buffer. Yes. Pointer. That way we won't need to have an class declaration to include anything. Audio buffer buff. Sure, buffer. My Xcode is sure helpful nowadays. The other thing I might need is, so I think the processing of this is going to happen in a different thread, but for now we can do it in the callback, just for, you know, prototyping. We'll call that analyze. So this will analyze the latest input. Okay. Now we'll just call it update. And maybe there will be analyze call, we can make that private later. Remove old buffers. And the reason I'm not using a ring buffer is I think it might be good just to have a bunch of, I'm really not sure. We'll see what happens. The other thing that's